I think there's always pressure to grow. There's always pressure to make opportunity and grow the business. I think, in California, it's very real estate, and I think in a lot of places in the states, it's difficult to find good real estate, and that's really where, there was a point with Blaze that we were able to build 5 and 6 stores a year. I think the most we've built at Dave's is 4 a year, which is still pretty significant, but it is tough to find real estate out here, at
Right.
least that makes sense financially.
Is that your biggest concern at the moment?
Sure, it's always our concern, especially in California with costs rising just for everything. It's always our concern, but it's finding the right location that makes sense that we're able to get in there. I always say under promise, over deliver. That's what we try to do, and make good financial decisions with the best location we can find.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Mays, and in this week's episode of A Deeper Dive, I speak with Martha Olmos, Chief Operating Officer with Damm Fine Restaurant Group. Damm Fine operates Blaze Pizza and Dave's Hot Chicken locations, each of which the company got into at an early stage in the brand's histories. We talk with Martha about what goes into operating emerging franchise brands like that and how to pick winners, given that it's very difficult to do so. We spent a lot of time talking about the best way to operate restaurants, how to build a good company culture, how to develop good employees. This is a great conversation for people who actually operate restaurants. We talk about the performance of Blaze and Dave's and the difference in operating two very different brands. We talk about operating restaurants in California and how Damm Fine got through the state's increase in the minimum wage for fast food restaurants. And we talk about all sorts of other things. This is another great conversation with a franchisee, so please check it out. Okay, I'm here with Martha Olmos. Martha, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so first off, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got in the restaurant business and what you do today.
Sure. So currently, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Damm Fine Pizza and Damm Fine Chicken, which is DBA Blaze Pizza and Dave's Hot Chicken. Got into the business about 35 years ago, accidentally, like most people who end up in the restaurant business. Was a struggling college student trying to decide what it is that I wanted to do. Came across, it was, people weren't hiring at that time. It was during a recession. Came across an ad for an assistant manager at Taco Bell. Got hired as an assistant manager at Taco Bell, and met my still business partner now, Mitch Wolf, who was the franchisee at that time, and then very quickly moved up the ranks and figured out this is what I like to do and was kind of made to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how many locations do you guys have?
So we currently have 14 Blaze Pizzas and 11 Dave's Hot Chicken.
Mm-hmm. Had you operated franchisees? I mean, did you own franchisees before these?
Yes, Taco Bell.
Okay. And when did you decide to get out of the Taco Bell business and into these businesses?
So the original franchise was sold in 2007, and I went to work for the gentleman that purchased that franchise, who is still a Taco Bell franchisee to this date. And then in 2014, we came across Blaze Pizza and decided we really liked that concept, and that's when we started at Blaze Pizza in 2014.
Okay. And then when did you get into Dave's?
We signed Dave's, believe it or not, during COVID in 2020, in July of 2020.
Really?
Yes.
What, okay, tell me the story behind that.
So, we had been hearing a lot about Dave's Hot Chicken, had tried it obviously because of Blaze Pizza and Bill Phelps and the Wetzels, and decided one day after a Blaze conference to take the whole team to Dave's Hot Chicken in Glendale, and didn't say anything to them about what we were thinking, just wanted their honest opinions. And it was an overwhelming, this is fantastic. We've never tasted anything like it. And then we obviously met with Bill Phelps and the team, very similar to Blaze. And we love the quality of the chicken, the concept, and here we are in 2025.
So you're not really afraid to jump into new concepts.
Well, obviously COVID changed the way we do business. But we find that we believed in the product, we believed in the team behind it, we believed in our operations team, and we felt like it's now or never. Either we're going to take this territory or somebody else is going to take it. It was kind of a leap of faith.
How do you like as an operator then? How do you assess the team? Because obviously you feel strong enough about those guys that you re-up with them. What is it about the team that makes you that gives you confidence as an operator?
So I always say, we are in the people business. We sell pizza and chicken to pay the bills. The team that we have the team that came from Taco Bell, quite frankly, followed us to Blaze and is currently at Dave's. And we've developed our own leaders from that, people who have started as team members and have worked their way up to shift managers, assistants, to restaurant managers and above store leaders. That's the key to developing great teams.
How do you do that? Like what kind of like because that is that's really important. Like, having people that rise through the ranks and giving them a path towards promotions and more responsibility and obviously higher paychecks is pretty crucial, especially and then developing these folks is as important in the restaurant business as a good marketing campaign. So could you tell me a little bit about like what are your strategies for developing these people? Like what do you do?
Sure. So I think what you said was exactly right. It is as important, if not more important, than marketing campaigns. I mean, if I want to spend a lot of money to bring people into my restaurant, I need to make sure that we can handle the business and that people are going to have the right experience. One of the biggest things we find is a lot of these team members, this is their first job. This is their first experience with guest service. These are also a lot of team members who aren't quite sure what they want to do, whether they want to pursue a career in anything other than the food service business, which the skills that we can give, and that's one of the things we talk about, that we can give you skills that you can take anywhere, which a lot of them move on to do other bigger and better things. But the key is finding the people with the drive and desire to want to move up, and having the right leaders who have been doing this for a long time. A lot of them can look at someone and go, this is a person who has the drive and desire and fits right in, and we can learn to develop. And obviously we have the procedures and the learnings in place. We do a lot of teaching. There's a lot of books out there that we use, a lot of in-store standards, because I can teach anybody how to make a pizza, a taco. I can teach them how to make chicken, but it's the leadership skills that continue to drive the business and continue to, when people come on board, that they want to stay and grow with us.
So you kind of see the potential in some of the employees, and then you work to develop them over time.
Either
Is there-
myself or the leaders in
Mhm.
the restaurant.
Right, right, right. Yeah, as I said, it's just really important. Like these days, I mean, I think that consumers' expectations when they go into a restaurant, all everything about that restaurant, the food has to taste good, the restaurants have to be clean, the service has to be really good, and if you don't, they're going to go somewhere else because there's always another restaurant, and so like that's just like really important. Like probably preaching to the choir, I imagine.
Well, and that's the thing. We know we have a good product, but you also have you have to have the experience that goes along with the good product.
hmm so like, what was it like? Why did you first get into Blaze Pizza then? What was that thought?
Again, it was one was the idea that nobody had ever come up with a build your own concept, right? We were all used to the way you order pizza, right? You paid per toppings. Nobody had ever said, it was a very new concept. The product, we make our own dough to this day. It is a phenomenal product. That's really what attracted us. The second thing that attracted us, again, meeting with the Wetzels and the management team at that time, that was kind of what sealed the deal. And we knew that from the experience that we had, that there was something special there.
hmm Why did you decide to get in? Why did you? Were you looking in 2020? Were you looking for another concept at the time? Is that what led you to Days, or was it just like you just heard about it and you're like, we need to get in now?
No, you know what? We needed to get in now because we knew it was such a great concept and we didn't want to lose our territory. We're located in Central California, which is a very different territory than your, LA metro area or your San Francisco area. We're quite in the middle, different demographic. And I mean, it was a scary time for everybody, but it was kind of do it now or you're not going to be able to do it at all.
Really? Yeah, that must have been. I mean, it was a scary time at that particular period, but you must have had I mean, I guess it's probably as good a time to do anything, when maybe everything was sort of shut down. And, sometimes the best time to do something is when nobody else is doing anything.
Sure, and that's exactly what we were thinking as well. We thought, okay, we know the territory, we have the team to be able to do it. We know this is the right fit for us. It was kind of now or never, and that's kind of what drove us. And it was a good call.
Hmm. So how's Dave's doing? Are you pretty happy with that?
We're pretty happy with it. We're great. It's one of the things that I learned very early in my career, and I tell people, despite whatever the economy does, people need to eat. So if you have a good product, what's considered a good value, it always works. It continues to grow. I think with other competitors coming in the market, it's super important that we just continue to do what we do, keep the quality up, keep the service up. Is there always a concern? Absolutely, but it's done phenomenal. It continues. I've never seen AUVs quite like it. I've never seen a business quite like it, and I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. How are your Blaze pizzas doing?
They're doing well. There's some, quite frankly, that never recovered after COVID. That was a rough time because, as you know, pizza thrived during COVID because it was a pickup business or a delivery business. Blaze Pizza, that's not a build your own concept. That's not what we do. So that was a struggle. And the stores that came out on the other side are doing just fine. The stores that never really recovered, we it's been 11 years, so once our lease was up, we closed some. We did close some. Um, with other build your own concepts kind of now leaving, we seem to be the last out there of them. So we think we're kind of making a turn.
Really? So
Yeah.
is it you think that because the market is starting to open up a little bit, like in early the competition is starting to fade away? I mean, we've had a number of issues in the fast casual pizza sector. So what you're saying is that like some customers of say like maybe Ahmad or somebody else are going to Blaze Pizza now?
I think so. I think especially in our area, we where we used to have two or three other competitors, they're no longer in the area. That obviously there's a share of stomach thing that goes on all the time. And that's a factor. And I also think that we do have a good product. And now with people, fast food restaurants taking pricing and when people weigh our product compared to, paying the same thing for a cheeseburger, fries, or a drink, now they go, okay, now this is probably in line with what I'd like to pay based on the quality and what I'm getting.
Right, right. So, is there like a major difference in operating a brand like Blaze that's been around maybe a little bit and has had its challenges recently versus something like Dave's Hot Chicken that apparently can't do anything wrong at the moment? Is there a big difference between operating those two?
There really isn't. Again, you have a great quality products at both. You have good leadership teams. We just got a new CEO named at Blaze. We're pretty excited about that. And I think, sometimes that's what it takes. You have to have that synergy between the operators, the franchisees, and corporate. Keep that communication as well as, keeping the quality up. But there really isn't a significant difference. I mean, obviously the volume seems to be the biggest difference currently.
I mean, high volumes tend to do you a lot of favors, I would imagine.
You're exactly
Um,
right.
I mean,
Fa Volume fixes everything, or
it
most
does.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the magic bullet. You want profitability. I mean, you need the volumes, and it's tends to cure all ills. But I mean, you brought something else in terms of that alignment. I mean, like, as I'm somebody that covers, I mean, you probably know this. I've covered my share of franchise disputes over the years. And and like all these, it's like any relationship. You're gonna have somebody have franchisees gonna have their opinion, management's gonna have their opinion, and they're often different, and that's fine. But sometimes these things just go way south, and incredibly so. And that alignment, figuring out even during tough times, getting that alignment is just really, really, really crucial. Because I think that I would say more often than not, if you have some alignment, some agreement between franchisors and franchisees, you work together towards a solution, you can probably, fix things a lot faster than you couldn't. So talk about that relationship and why that's important, why it works for you guys.
Well, it's got to be the communication, right? I sit on both advisory boards. I sit on the one for Blaze and I sit on the one for Dave's. And the one thing that I find is that there has to be that open communication. We have to be able to agree to disagree sometimes. I always say, from a franchisee perspective, is we have a lot of stake in the game. I mean, we have a lot of money. Where I always say, at the end of the day, if you're a corporate person, sometimes, you get a slap on the hand if you make a mistake. As a franchisee, if I make a mistake, I can lose a business. And that's a significant amount of pressure on franchisees when you're talking about multi-million dollar investments. And I think that we're very lucky that both entities are willing to listen and interact and respectfully and take those suggestions, because a lot of these franchisees, you know, we've been doing this for 30 plus years. Some people have been doing it 40 plus years, have very successful multi-unit, hundreds of units. So I think that taking that into consideration is super important.
Hmm. Now, Dave's just changed CEOs. I mean, you mentioned the Blaze CEO, but Dave's also just changed CEOs. You got Jim Biddix coming in, which was about as surprising as seeing the sunrise, I might note. That's but any how's your feeling? Like, as a franchisee, how do you view that when a new CEO comes in?
So I think it's important that first there's that initial, who is this person? What have they done sort of thing. Like you said, this was no surprise to us. I mean, I've known Jim since the Blaze days. Like I said, I sit on the advisory board, so we talk at least once a week. We were pretty confident in his leadership skills. There's no question that this is the right direction. I mean, and Bill, what can I say? Bill Phelps is one of my favorite people. He's super smart and knows what he's doing.
What is he? What is it? What is it that he does? Like, what is it that he does that give you so much confidence?
You know what it is? It's the ability to find these brands and then take them to the next level, to have that vision that says, I want to take this company, beginning with Wetzel's Pretzels and then his investment in Blaze. And then, I mean, that's a skill, and not just to hit lightning once, but twice or three times. That's pretty incredible.
Right. So, in other words, you're saying that whatever chain he targets next, I should pay attention to it.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Very good. So, so tell me about the operating environment right now. How are things?
Things are good. Obviously, the climate in California is difficult. With minimum wage going up, it's always a struggle. Again, uh, having a business that is about people, it's super important to keep turnover low. We do pay better than minimum wage, quite frankly. And I tell my team I want the A+ team. I don't want a B team. I don't want a C team. And if I do that, then I have to pay people what they're worth and be able to develop them and take care of them. So quite frankly, we don't have a lot of issues with retention and hiring, which we're very blessed about. But I think it also is the way we operate and the culture that's super important.
Anything? Were you concerned when that was starting to happen? When that was coming about, that was a substantial increase.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the margins in the restaurant business are very small. I mean, and you were going from, I think our average wage at that time was probably $17. The minimum wage was 16. We were probably about 17.24. And obviously if I take the team members up, I'm not taking them to 20, I'm taking them to 21 plus. Obviously all the management goes up there. It was a significant increase. And that was something we had to sit down with the partners and our leadership team and go, okay, where is it in the middle of the P&L that we can make some adjustments, kind of counteract some of this, and obviously to work on marketing and increase sales, that sort of thing. But it was definitely a big blow to the restaurant business for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Were you, so you didn't, I assume you ate some of it, or at least made up for the cost increase for the wage increase with decreases in cost.
We did take some pricing because we just had to, and then we ate some of it. Again, people are very cost sensitive, especially where we are in the Central Valley. I used to make the joke, at Taco Bell, like if I took a 10 cents on a taco, people noticed, you know, um, and it was a big deal. So we we're always very cognizant of always keeping that value incentive for our guest. And then also cognizant of, obviously we have a business to run and there's money to be made.
Yeah. Was it easier to do that at something like Dave's versus Blaze? Because, I mean, Dave's hot chicken is just, pun intended, a hot concept. I mean, and you got people that are just flocking in to the restaurants, whereas maybe with something there where consumers are a little bit more skeptical or there's more competition. Was it easier to take price on that or not?
It
Or
wasn't. Actually, believe it
no?
or not, I took pricing at Blaze and I took less pricing at Dave's. And the reason we did that is when this happened, we had just hit the market in the Central Valley and we didn't want to scare our guests. We didn't want to deter our guests from visiting. We wanted them to first taste our product instead of, having a perception that, hey, this is too expensive, that sort of thing. So we didn't. Actually, I think I'm still below whatever corporate is just a little bit because I am in the Central Valley and we're very cognizant of pricing.
Mhm. Mhm. So, how like one of the interesting things that we're seeing right now is um the the labor market, the broader labor market has slowed down. I don't think there's any question. Like, so are you seeing any, is it easier to retain and attract workers today?
It's easier, I think, to recruit higher level talent. And when I say that, I'm talking about restaurant managers and above. They're more willing. For example, I know like I mentioned, we opened 3 stores last year in areas where Dave's had not been. And I was surprised at how easy it was to attract talent. And when I say that talent, is these are managers that have been with their concept for 18 to 20 years. That's a big move. I was quite surprised to see that because I know that somebody who has an 18 to 20-year commitment with their brand, to move to a new brand like Dave's, that was huge. So that says something not just about either our organization or the brand.
Where are you getting them from? What kind of concepts? You don't have to tell me the name of the concept, but what kind of, like, generally? Other
Fast
franchises?
casual, other
Oh,
fast
really?
casual. Hmm.
Okay. So you're taking them from other fast casuals. But, like,
Yeah.
isn't it Dave's, like, I mean, they're not like people, like, I've always thought that people wanna work at a concept that they like, and if there's this hot new concept and they have an opportunity to work there maybe sometimes, is
Oh,
that,
you're right.
yeah. And, I mean, I mean, I'd have to imagine that, like, if I was a young person today, like, if I was in my 20s or something, I'm not. I know it's a big surprise.
Me either.
Yeah, but I probably want, like, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would think it would be pretty cool to work at somewhere like Dave's. At the very least, the restaurants are so damn colorful.
No, I think you have a good point. I think people want to work for a hip concept. I think that's what Starbucks was in the past. We found that it was easier to recruit at Blaze than it was at Taco Bell, for example, because people had a stigma of like, I don't want a fast food type of thing. I don't want to be flipping burgers as opposed to, a cool concept. No, I think you have a great point there.
Yeah, really interesting. You had problems getting people at Taco Bell. Well, that was a few years ago, though, and I think
That was a
Taco
few
Bell is
years ago.
probably a different, I would say that Taco Bell versus 15 years ago is a very different concept today.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, they've right now, they are, I would suspect that they have an easy, I'll have to talk to some Taco Bell franchisees now to figure out if I'm correct on this, but I would imagine that it's probably easier to get people to work at a Taco Bell today versus a few years ago. I mean, right now, their marketing is on fire, but what do I know? I'm just,
Agree. No,
yeah.
100%. They're killing it. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I also think, the fact that Dave's is growing so quickly and that there's opportunity for growth also attracts people, with management experience or people that are looking to grow in their field where, they might be at a company for a few years and nobody's leaving and nobody's growing. They're not building any more restaurants. So I think that's also a factor.
Does that put some pressure on you to continue to expand and grow because you want to give your teams, going back to what we were talking about at the outset, like that, because you want to get your teams to your team, you want you to give your team opportunities. And I hear this from a lot of operators. We want to give our people opportunities. You have somebody who's ready to step in a management position and you need another restaurant for them to manage per se. Is that put some
Absolutely.
pressure on you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's always pressure to grow. There's always pressure to make opportunity and grow the business. I think in California, it's very real estate, and I think in a lot of places in the states, it's difficult to find good real estate, and that's really where there was a point with Blaze that we were able to build 5 and 6 stores a year. I think the most we've built at Dave's is 4 a year, which is still pretty significant, but it is tough to find real estate out here, at
Right.
least that makes sense financially.
Is that your biggest concern at the moment?
Sure, it's always our concern, especially in California with cost rising just for everything. It's always our concern, but it's finding the right location that makes sense that we're able to get in there. I always say under promise, over deliver. That's what we try to do, and make good financial decisions with the best location we can find.
What kind of sites are you finding more open? I mean, are you able to get second generation sites, or do you have to build from the ground up?
It depends. We have a pretty good strategy. I don't we ground up are definitely not ones that we pursue currently, only because of cost. Even second gen or third gen, especially if you're taking buildings that are 20, 25 years old, they're still pretty significant increase. I mean, I got to tell you, when we built our first Dave's Hot Chicken in 2019, now we're probably paying 40% more to build the same tenant improvement, same footprint, in equipment and just in all overall construction costs. So it's pretty significant. And those are the things that we have to take into account. During COVID, the biggest sites that were most sought out sites were obviously drive-throughs. I find, quite frankly, a good end cap, you know, between 19 and 2100 square feet in a great center, that's ideal operate. And I'm an operator, so those are ideal locations for me. But they're the same locations that everybody else is looking for as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the issue that a lot of these, the more popular concepts are, I mean, everybody is looking for roughly the same sites. And the sites that are more likely to be open are the ones that nobody wants. Um,
Exactly.
and that's kind of an issue. So anything keeping you up at night right now besides apparently real estate and 40% increase in cost? Good grief.
Um, you know, Again, I always say the best part of my job is the people, and the things that keep me up are people. Those are the things, and some of the things that happen in California. Those keep me up. But I still, when I'm asked, would I do anything different? No, this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. Are you looking for other concepts now, or are you just waiting for whatever Bill jumps into next?
We're always looking for great concepts. People always send me, "Hey, you need to come try this," and we go do it. And the franchise restaurant community is pretty small, so we all talk to each other, and they go, "Hey, you got to check this out or check that out,"
Well,
and we
so
do.
and then that gives me a question. Like, how do you know if a concept is gonna has legs? Because like a million franchises out there, there's a lot. I mean, I'd imagine that like there's so many companies that franchise a restaurant and would probably commit some sort of felony to get an operator like you in there. So how do you know if a concept actually has legs?
First we have to like it, right? I honestly, we do a lot of. I can't tell you how many times I went to Dave's before we pulled the trigger. Same thing with Blaze, and then had other people try it. So it's really about the quality, the story behind it, the people behind it. That all has to do with it, because it all has to it all it's almost like a synergy, and it's hard to explain, and it's also a gut feeling after you've been doing it for a long time. Sometimes we're right and sometimes we're not, but it is a lot of it is a gut feeling, and the synergy between the quality, the people behind that brand, and where you see this going.
Did you eat every level of hotness?
I did.
Really?
I
Right.
did.
Are you a spicy food? I don't know. I couldn't. My system would not be happy with me if I did anything like that. I don't think.
I am a spicy food person,
Oh, well,
that's
there
for
you
sure.
go then. That's easy then. So, all right,
Yes.
superb. Martha, this was wonderful. I really appreciate you joining me this week on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been great.
And that should do it for this week's episode of A Deeper Dive, which was edited, as always, by Spoons. You can find this and other episodes of the podcast on our website at www.restaurantbusinessonline.com/article/deeper-dive. But by all means, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I'm Jonathan Mays, your host, podcast producer, and the editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business. Thank you for listening.